This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 216 of the CineSnob Podcast. I am Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
And Cody, we are a little bit late, but it's okay. We are here. Don't let anyone fear. Nothing bad happened to us. We weren't part of the Delta wave, the Delta variant wave, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, as they say, better late than never. Am I right?
Yeah. Except when it comes to, I don't know. There's probably something that's you shouldn't be late at, as opposed to being never happening. I don't know. I was gonna say, like, having your period, but I think that's still good. I don't know. That's where we really need Jocelyn here, is for this sort of thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, so how's it going, Cody?
Not bad. It's Monday, so
you got a case of the Mondays.
I had a case of the Mondays today, but I survived.
So I'm drinking a P. Terry's leftover drink. I'm curious if you have partaken in the P. Terry's that has made its way to San Antonio yet.
I have not. I have not been able to get to P. Terry's yet. I drove past it on the way to the doctor's office in the medical center, but
I heard it's nuts.
It wasn't when I went, but it was also at like 4:00 or like 3:30 or 4,
Oh.
so probably in the off times. But I have to imagine it's chaos. They just built a Burger Boy, which is what I had for dinner, right next to me, and that place is just packed all the time.
And maybe I haven't experienced it enough here in Austin, but man, San Antonio loves a good, like, opening of a new, like, fast food restaurant. And I don't know why it is, but I remember when Carl's Jr. came to town, which I think it's gone again. I don't think there's any more Carl's Jr. left. Yeah.
The only one I knew of was on 410.
On like Perrin Vital or Nacogdoches, like
I
over
think it's
there.
Nacogdoches, 410. And,
yeah,
no, it's a little past Nacogdoches. Yeah, but yeah.
Whatever it is, it's an Arby's now.
Okay.
They all turned into Arby's
local right now.
Sure, but there was a Carl's Jr. by my old house, and when it opened, like, the line was out of the parking lot. They had to have police directing traffic. When a Bush's Chicken opened nearby there too, it was the same way.
Yeah.
And the granddaddy of them all was, do you remember when Krispy Kreme opened?
I was about to say that, yeah.
That was so crazy. The lines were just, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And maybe never will again, but San Antonio sure loved, like, you give us a new fast food there and the city will fucking turn out.
Yeah.
They may not keep turning out, which is why I guess all the Carl's Jr. restaurants are gone, but
yeah, we love a novelty here.
Oh, and Crystal Burger. You remember Crystal Burger briefly?
Yeah, I remember one in Live Oak. That was the one that I remember.
There was one on near Ingram Park Mall that when they opened, they had so many people there, they had to bring in like a food truck to cook the burgers also. And then it closed like 6 months later. So good old San Antonio. Anyway, we actually have some news to talk about, Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And, this happened late last week, but we have been talking about it, about a movie we reviewed a couple weeks ago, the Black Widow, I should say,
okay,
released. Yeah, the Black Widow.
The Black Widow?
What is that one about the Google? Released on Disney Plus, Premiere Access, and in theaters, of course. Had a great opening weekend, according to Disney, and then it kind of fell off into nothing. News came out last week that Scarlet Johansson is suing Disney for breach of contract because apparently she was guaranteed some sort of back-end payout from the theatrical release.
Yeah.
And there's been some words exchanged. Now, you and I were talking about this, and I really can't believe Disney hadn't shored this up by now when they released this.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot of word that Warner Brothers renegotiated all of their deals when Warner Brothers made the deal with HBO Max to be released. So it is kind of surprising, that Disney didn't do more and that this was not fixed by time of release. And it'll just be interesting to see what happens. I mean, there's also some word that Emma Stone might be considering it too for Cruella, and I think Gerard Butler sued whoever put out Greenland. So
Really?
yeah, and I don't know if it's a similar thing or not. I've just been seeing them all lumped together. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where this could be like a real watershed moment for the theatrical slash day and date slash anything, where either they're going to start baking it into contracts no matter what, or Scarlett's going to be shut out. I don't know if they can claim like force majeure on some of this stuff, but
Disney had a pretty epically petty statement. Look, and to be clear, this is a billion-dollar company arguing with a millionaire actress over the millions of dollars she wasn't going to get paid. So
after
I guess
she's already been given $20 million.
Yeah, so I guess if there is a bad guy, it's Disney.
It's commerce,
obviously,
man.
But we're still talking about an actress who is talking about the multi-millions of dollars she's missing out on, as opposed to the multi-millions of dollars that she ended up getting. So it's a little bit like there's not a good guy here. Sure. It's really stupid if Disney didn't shore this all up. And another movie we're talking about this week is Jungle Cruise is like the last film on the list to be released on Disney Plus or Disney Plus Premier Access. Again, I can't imagine that any of this wouldn't have been shored up. I mean, I'm curious what Disney's position is ultimately. That, like you said, is it force majeure? Is it something that, I don't know. I can't imagine also going forward this won't be baked in, like you said, in case of, massive theater closure, we're going to release this in streaming.
Yeah, or if deals are restructured to not include as much back end, and maybe it's going to start, you might see trends of taking more up front. I don't know. I mean, I feel like those back end deals have been super popular for a long time now, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, interesting to some degree. Do I care about the quibbles over millions of dollars? Not so much, but yeah.
Well, and it was like the writer's strike thing that happened years ago. That it was about, was it like 2009 over streaming and digital rights back then?
Yeah.
Which makes sense because those are lower paid people. When it comes to your lead actress, I mean, I don't know that I really give a shit, honestly.
Sure.
I mean, she's still. I mean, and I don't know what kind of. I'm not here to say that she doesn't deserve any money. It's just I don't really give a shit who wins this case, because it's millions of dollars at stake and not like a working wage.
Look, I mean, the business side of movies is your mileage is going to vary on whether or not you find it interesting. You being the person listening, but
Right.
I think it's interesting in a sense of what will this mean in the grand scheme of things when it comes to release format here moving forward? Because are movie stars going to be less likely to I'll put it to you this way: are we going to start seeing in contracts demanding theatrical release, or the contract is void, or something like that? Or when they sign deals to make these movies, is there going to be some stipulation that it has to be theatrical, even in the case of a global pandemic?
Or is it going to be part of the insurance of a production, where if it they buy these policies, what happens when, for example, when Paul Walker died in production, there's an insurance payout to because the film invested so much money. Is there going to be one for these actors if it doesn't, if it ends up not going theatrical and they have some sort of back end promise? I don't know. I mean, I feel almost like it was sort of a parting gift to Scarlett Johansson for this, because I can't imagine, this is just a guess, I can't imagine the box office prediction for Black Widow was pandemic aside, was ever going to come close to something like Endgame or Infinity War, which I think Robert Downey Jr. made like $50 million off of one of those two. So it was just sort of a little extra bonus. And I'm curious to see how this is going to work going forward. Like you said, I can't imagine that any studio is going to say now, like no one's going to agree to a contract that says you can't go to streaming at first. I don't think any studio is going to want to do that.
Yeah.
It's because it's, like the Mark Wahlberg movie that went, what was it called? We already forgot. No, the other one.
Shit. The Paramount one.
Infinite? Yeah. Like, I mean, just who cares? There's been all kinds of movies that go straight to DVD or straight to streaming. I just wonder is it strictly the back end that was wronged on? I don't know. Again, I have a problem kind of feeling sympathy for the millionaire suing the billionaires, but
sure.
Whatever. Who cares? Go ahead. Get your money. Get your money, girl. Colin Jost needs, I don't know what he needs.
Hey, I mean, the news just broke today that Colin and Casey Jost are writing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So
you sent me that. I was under the impression that the next movie was going to be produced by Seth Rogen.
That has
but
been
apparently
turned
that's
into a TV show.
Yeah, that's weird to me because the TV shows, like, they just keep kind of evolving. I don't know if you've ever followed cartoons now, but like nothing ever dies. It just gets turned into something else. Like Transformers is going forever. Ninja Turtles, they cancel one series and then they start a new one that has a different spin on something. The same for a while with Spider-Man and Batman. Anyway, I like the Jost brothers. I don't know. I got nothing to really say about it. It's Monday. I'm kind of off, so.
I hear you. Me too.
Anyway, anything else?
Sunday we would be so sharp.
Man, we'd be right on the money here. But we talked about P. Terry's and Burger Boy and Krispy Kreme and shit. So, anything else before we move on?
Nah, we're good.
All right, let's go ahead and get started on reviews.
Here are this week's reviews.
First up, we have Jungle Cruise.
Tucking in a spot of sightseeing? How nice of you to join us.
This is a Disney adaptation of a Disneyland ride. I think it's one of the original rides, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's very, very old. By the way, please, Disney, don't flag this clip. You gave us this publicity clip. I know you're going to fucking flag it on YouTube and Facebook, but you gave this to us to use. Anyway, Cody, tell us about Jungle Cruise and what you thought of it. This is a very divisive movie already.
It is, yeah, it is. There seems to be a big divide between critics who are enjoying it and critics who are not enjoying it. And then I think audiences are mostly enjoying it, but audience is Disney. So apparently only half the critics got paid by Disney to give this good reviews. Right?
I got mine. I got my
you got
paycheck.
yours.
Okay. Just so you know. They didn't give it to Scarlett Johansson so they could pay me.
Yeah. I've never been on the ride. I've never been to a Disney park at all. So I have no reference point. to the ride, but my understanding is that similar to like Pirates of the Caribbean, like this doesn't really, the Jungle Cruise ride doesn't really have a story. So this is like an invented narrative that's created from this. So, I had seen a lot of references to people comparing the movie in terms of tone or what it's trying to accomplish to, like The Mummy or Indiana Jones and stuff. Those are two comparisons I saw a lot. And I can see where people are going in terms of trying to make those connections. For me, I really didn't enjoy the experience of the film. I feel like the movie had some, I think it starts off pretty decently with there's like an extended sequence of Emily Blunt's character trying to, steal something and get away. And I think that is the best sequence of the movie, actually, the opening sequence. And I think from there, especially once you get to see The Rock's character, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, excuse me, when you start seeing his character, I feel like the movie just becomes a very, very generic adventure movie, and I don't think that there's a lot of, personality to it. To me, it's just kind of a series of adventure scenes, and I think it does a couple things that I don't love. I think that, towards the middle of the movie, there's this big exposition scene that explains more about The Rock's character. And I don't love the turn that it takes there in terms of like the explanation for who he is and his history and stuff. That meant kind of nothing to me. And then I think that the second half of the movie tries to inject a love story into like the third act. And for me, I don't really know that on-screen chemistry is working for me. I don't really know that I sensed it. I think that there's a lot of like chemistry with The Rock and Emily Blunt that kind of just is played off of The Rock being kind of a dick for the good first half of the movie. And I think that the turn that it takes between those two characters for me wasn't super believable. So I think that it probably could have used some more, Jesse Plemons, who a lot of people were basically saying he's doing like a Werner Herzog impression the whole time, which I buy. I could use some more of that. Paul Giamatti gives a bonkers performance that is unfortunately not in nearly enough. But yeah, for me, this thing was super generic. I don't really think that it has any, for me, it didn't have any fingerprints of a Disney movie to it. For me, it could have been any generic action adventure movie, and it would have been the same results. So for me, I just never found myself having much fun with it, I don't think. And, again, save for maybe some puns that are like too bad to actually be bad puns. They're just bad. They're not like bad funny. I don't really understand the connection to the ride, I don't think either, which... Yeah.
Well, so the ride is pretty straightforward, supposed to be like a jungle tour. Like, there's very fake animals and very, I think they've finally changed it or are in the process of changing. It was built in 1955, so can you guess what it's got a lot of? Racism or racist caricatures, not like overt racism, but like, exactly what you'd expect from something from 1955. So yeah, the ride is not really, it's obviously it's not, there's no real storyline to it. I guess the biggest thing that comes from the ride is sort of the corniness of the narration, which the Dwayne The Rock Johnson kind of does in this one, like he has a bunch of corny one-liners for the tourists. The thing that you mentioned, that it doesn't really feel like a Disney film, I kind of disagree, because it has a fantastical element that I think it's almost like a little bit of a lighter version of Pirates of the Caribbean, if you remember the original film, not any of the sequels. Just this sort of, I don't know what like a curse, I guess, so to speak. I don't remember what the movie calls it, but
The Curse of the Black Pearl is the name of the movie.
That's the Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm talking about Jungle Cruise.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a-
I think it
there's
is.
some
I think
sort
it
of-
is referred to as a curse.
Yeah. Anyway, it's I found it to be interesting. I found it to be fun. I laughed quite a bit at some of the corny stuff. I liked The Rock and Emily Blunt together. I don't buy them being a romantic couple. Paul Giamatti is great. I was reading something that on Twitter that apparently Paul Giamatti wanted to have
Oh yeah,
like monkeys light cigars for him.
yeah.
And Disney said no, which is a bummer. Jesse Plemons is fun. He's clearly like just doing something totally bonkers and almost hardly interacts with the main characters until the very end.
Yeah.
Then you have so correct me if I'm wrong, but you have Jack Whitehall playing Emily Blunt's, the brother of Emily Blunt's character, the first like confirmed gay character who talks about like actually living a like having a gay relationship.
Yeah, I think it's the first explicitly gay character without it being some kind of implied thing that you have to put the pieces together on.
Yeah.
So I think it's the first time that homosexuality has been like referenced in Disney, I would have to say.
I mean, it doesn't go right out and say it. It still makes you put the dots together.
Yeah, but in a way where
There's no missing it. There's no
Right.
missing the subtext. But I mean, it's not.
He's actually
Yeah.
really good. I think that's a good character and probably the most enjoyable part of like the principal cast. I think is his part.
Yeah, he's fun. I mean, I just had fun with it. I don't think it's anything more than it is. I do think the plot kind of zips along a little too fast sometimes. It's like it's 2-hour movie still, but I think there's some stuff it just sort of has a shortcut, or it takes a shortcut with. But
Yeah.
I just had fun. There's no real lumps that I can think of. It's not, it's not.
Well, I see the thing that I found interesting in what you said was that you liked The Rock and Emily Blunt together, but you don't buy them as a romantic couple, which is what the entire third act kind of hinges on.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I get it. There's also I mentioned not being as dark as Pirates of the Caribbean, but there is some really dark stuff that happens. Like there's a scene with The Rock where you learn about his secret, like the scene right before it, like it's fucking brutal. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like when during a battle, and it's like, holy shit, this thing is. I mean, you of course know the outcome is not going to be what you think, but watching it happen was pretty rough for a Disney movie. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I was totally fine with it. I mean, I don't love it. I didn't find anything really wrong with it. I just had a fun time watching it. Maybe that would have been different in a movie theater, but watching it at home was, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's not epic. It's not like Pirates of the Caribbean where it was this epic that like kicked off this whole new thing. I don't know if you really remember how kind of special that was back then. Like how bonkers Johnny Depp's performance was.
Sure.
Like pegged to such a good movie, and it's been cheapened all along the way with however many terrible sequels, but
I just don't think that this movie has anything particularly memorable about it. Like I don't like if I could ask anyone, or I could ask you, like, to name me like a couple of the best scenes. Like for me, like nothing even comes to mind. Like it's it's just not for me. That's why I say things like it's a generic adventure movie, because like there's nothing singular about it. Like there's nothing that I can think back about it that makes it special in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It is like it's a very light version of The Mummy mixed with Pirates of the Caribbean. Like two movies that it's clearly influenced by. It doesn't come close to matching those two, but it's a good enough version of those two, I think, in my opinion. Anyway, what's your grade for Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, again didn't work for me. I'm going with the C for me.
A C, wow. I'm gonna go with the B minus just because I don't know why I'm not a B, but B minus sounds fair. It's fine. It is available now on Disney Plus with Premiere Access and in theaters. If you want to do that. All right, let's move on to our next movie, The Green Knight.
Friends, brothers and sisters, who can regale me and my queen with some myth or tale?
O greatest of kings, let one of your knights try to land a blow against me. Indulge me in this game.
I will meet thee.
One year hence.
So this is based on, of course, the Arthurian tale. So I've always read it and said it as Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Here in this film, Dev Patel plays is the Gawain, but they say Garwin. Did you ever read the poem? Or
I didn't. No.
Okay, it blew my mind, and I've seen people on Twitter like, wait, it's been pronounced Garwin this whole time. Anyway, this is a very highly anticipated adaptation that was supposed to be released last year. I believe A24, I guess you would call them an art house film studio,
Sure.
known for making these kind of batshit horror movies. So Cody, tell us about The Green Knight and what you thought of it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the clip kind of explained it pretty clearly in terms of story. Where on Christmas the Green Knight shows up and makes that deal saying he wants to play a game where if they can strike a blow, the person will return a year to kind of have the favor returned. And so Dev Patel's character Garwin, I guess, is what we're calling him.
I always said Gawain because it's Gaiwan or Gowan. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
very confusing.
But yeah. So he decides that. So he you see in the clip he cuts his head off, and then he says that he's going to see him in a year, and so it sort of picks up a year later, and you get to see that character kind of travel to meet his fate, and then things happen along the way. And I think first and foremost, David Lowery, the director, has been known for kind of a really interesting visual style. And I think it's certainly present here, where I think there's some really great looking shots. There's really good cinematography, a lot of camera movement happening. It looks like it looks really nice. I think it also has a great score as well. Daniel Hart is his composer, who makes really great scores as well, very memorable. Like Ain't Them Body Saints has a great, memorable score, another one of his movies. And I will say for the movie that I didn't hate it, and I think that it's a captivating watch at times. I think the entire cast who appears is great. I think Dev Patel's really good. Alicia Vikander is good in kind of a double role in the movie. And you also see stuff from Joel Edgerton, Barry Keoghan, and Sean Harris. So I mean, I think across the board there's some great acting. For me, I don't know that I completely got it. I don't, because I mean there is this injection of weirdness that happens throughout, and I think this is something that we said when it came to Pig, which I agree with this as well, where I wish it was like 15% less weird. And because I think some of the weirdness has to do with metaphorical stuff that feels a little bit lost on me, and as well as kind of like the some of the overall messages of the whole thing. So I appreciated it when it was straightforward, and then as it gets weirder, it becomes like less and less for me, I think, as it kind of gets more heady. That being said, I was never bored watching it, and I think that for as weird as it might be, I think that there's a captivating enough story here to make it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, so if you know if you've ever read anything about this poem, if you don't know it, you haven't read it, but there's kind of this scholarly debate that over what exactly the metaphor is for the Green Knight, because he doesn't seem to really have a point other than being like, he's clearly testing
Right.
the knights, but to what end? I don't know. That said, the movie is considerably less straightforward than the poem, because the poem reveals that the Green Knight is Joel Edgerton's character, if I'm not mistaken, who of course is like the last step on his journey is this castle of a lord and a lady that is in the movie played by Alicia Vikander in the second role, which I didn't realize. Maybe I'm stupid. I didn't realize she was also his like girlfriend or whatever at the beginning of the film. I did not pick that up.
Yeah.
And so she's sort of testing him as romantically, I guess, like trying to seduce him. And Joel Edgerton's character is this like kind of crazy hunter who ends up kissing him because that's what he gained in being there. Look, in the poem, it's pretty straightforward. This is full of symbolism that I don't get either. I don't know that I don't get what this movie was trying to go for. I don't think it's bad, but I just don't understand it. I mean, and I like the poem, I don't really understand either, because I think it's just sort of, it's one of those literary things that's not, there's not a real like Rosetta Stone to figure out what this thing is fucking about.
Yeah. Like again, I think what you're kind of alluding to again is just the fact that like you understand by the end for sure it was a test, but like what
right.
are they testing like exactly?
Yeah, like what is?
But I mean I think it leads to a lot of great stuff. Like there's like a dialogue-less sequence towards the end of the movie, right before the last scene. That's like amazing. Like I like really great filmmaking in that last part that leads to it. So like I said, the journey to get to that point, kind of at the climax of the movie in terms of there is a climax in the movie too. There's there is but like to get to that point, to see the like him again meeting his fate. I while I enjoyed the execution of it, I think we're both saying is that it's just the slightest bit unclear.
If it were like, if it were like 15% less art housey, it kind of reminded me of how I felt about another movie where you see male ejaculate on screen. Call Me by Your Name. I feel like there's this distance, this artificial art house distance that's put there, and to Call Me by Your Name's credit. We talked about this when we reviewed the movie, the scene with Michael Stuhlbarg sort of summing up his feelings for Timothée Chalamet. That really brought it all together. This movie doesn't have something like that.
Right.
It's you're lost in this metaphor, and if you don't get it, I don't even know that the movie gets it. I'm not confident that the movie knows what it's saying. And that may be a little brash to say, but I'm not confident that it's connected all the dots and it has an answer for what's going on either.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm completely fine chalking it up to me not getting it. But like I said, I still think that it's an interesting watch for sure.
Yeah.
And a movie like this could have been dull as hell, and I don't think that this is.
No, not at all. And I think Dev Patel
credit.
is really good. I really liked Joel Edgerton popping up, and Alicia Vikander kind of does some weird stuff in here. But yeah, it's and Aaron Kellyman's in it for a very strange scene too. Of course, was in Solo and Falcon and the Winter Soldier recently. But anyway, what's your grade for The Green Knight, Cody?
I give it a B-. I think that again, I don't necessarily. I'm not really reacting to it in the way that a lot of the critical consensus seems to be, which is calling it one of the better movies of the year. I don't want to go that far, but I do think that it is a good movie.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a B- too. I think it's really well made. I just don't get it. I don't get what the point of it is, and I don't, like I said, I'm not confident the movie adequately telegraphs that home. But yeah, all right, let's move on to our last movie, Stillwater.
What the did you do?
I was trying to help.
Tell me exactly what you did, Dad. Dad.
She wouldn't do it, Allie. The park wouldn't look into the case.
Oh my God. You fucking lied. About all of it. Of course you did.
I found him, Allie. I found a king.
And why didn't you call the police? Why? Why? You let him get away. He's fucking gone now. He's fucking gone. I feel so stupid. I feel so stupid. You've always lied to me my entire life. Always. I hate myself for ever trusting you. Savio! Je vous attire.
Now, I didn't see this, Cody, but you did. And there is some controversy already about the movie, which is apparently loosely based, or maybe not so loosely based on the Amanda Knox case, the American woman who was convicted of murder twice in Italy of killing her former roommate in a trial that was not quite up to legal snuff as far as American court systems go. Anyway, tell us about Stillwater and what you thought of it.
Yeah, so it is, it's sort of a ripped from the headlines kind of movie where, in this case, Abigail Breslin's character, her former girlfriend was murdered, and she was arrested for the crime. And when you meet these characters, she's been in jail for a couple of years, I believe. And so Matt Damon's character, and they're from Oklahoma. And Matt Damon's character is traveling to France, where the movie takes place, to try and exhaust all of the legal options to try and sort of get her off the hook. So when the movie starts, she presents him with this new lead, and that's where you see them talking about the clip. So it's written and it's co-written and directed by Tom McCarthy, who most recently probably best known for Spotlight, the movie where he won an Oscar for Best Screenplay, and a great movie. Yeah, so I think the first thing to talk about is Matt Damon, who I think. Despite the trouble that he's in this week of his own doing.
That's such a crazy story, by the way.
I know. He's already backed it down as of tonight. He's walked it back. But
who asked him, by the way? Did anyone ask him?
I think it was volunteered. But despite his problematic stuff, I mean, I think he's just such a good actor, and he really... embodies this character of this real kind of rugged Oklahoma dad is the best way I can put it. That's sort of self-deprecating and trying to do everything he can, but like knows his flaws, and creates a really interesting character. And so the movie also introduces another character who's a French woman that he meets, played by Camille Cottin or Cotine, I assume, because it's French, where she has a daughter, and they meet, and she kind of serves as his translator, and like ultimately helping to find the case. or to help him through the case. I think that the interesting part about this is that it doesn't end up being the movie that I thought it was going to be. And, that's not necessarily the fault of the filmmakers. It might be the fault of the trailers and stuff. But, you watch this movie, you hear about it, you see clips, and you think it's going to be like this, this story or this movie about a father who will stop at nothing to solve the case and tries to put the pieces together and investigates. And it's really not that. Somewhere around the end and the middle of the movie, Abigail Breslin's character and Matt Damon's character have a bit of a falling out, kind of how you saw it was in that clip there. And then the movie just sort of transitions into being a character study about Matt Damon's character. And you really just kind of follow his life for like the entire middle of the movie, and like see the changes that he's going through and a bunch of other stuff I don't want to give away. But, it's I think it's trying to have its cake and eat it too, with being this movie that's like a father who will stop at nothing to get his daughter out of prison, and also this character study of this complicated man trying to get his daughter back, but also juggle some different things in his life and to right some wrongs that he may have made in his past. And it all does come together towards the end and creates kind of a bit of a moral debate or a moral question, but it's very bizarre to see a movie sort of lose focus of what I think it's ostensibly trying to do for a solid like 20 to 25 minutes. Almost like it forgets what story it's telling for a little bit. Again, both pieces are good on their own. I think that the early parts of the movie with him trying to figure out the case are good. I think the character study pieces is interesting due to the performance of Damon. The woman that he's paired up with in the movie. I don't know that there's the kind of chemistry that it implies when you're kind of watching the movie, but I don't know that it ever coalesces into something that's satisfying to make it transcendent. So it falls under that good could have been great, but doesn't quite reach those heights for me.
All right, what's your grade for Stillwater?
I give it a B- on the strength of Damon's performance. I think he alone is worth watching. I think Abigail Breslin's really good as well. I just, temper your expectations and don't expect this like, father out for justice kind of story that I think that's trying to sell, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's not what it ends up being, at least not completely.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Next week, or this week, I guess, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad. The James Gunn reboot, I guess you would say, soft reboot, hard reboot of Suicide Squad.
I think it's like a half-mast.
It's a semi-chub reboot.
Yeah.
Already getting rave reviews, by the way. I think is it still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? I
think it dropped just a tad, but I think it's in the high 90s. It's currently at 96% with 99 reviews in.
Which would probably make it the best reviewed DC movie, I'd have to guess, at this point.
Oh, I mean, probably by a fair amount. I mean, I would probably say maybe Harley Quinn is the second highest, or Birds of Prey, I should say.
Remember when they renamed that? Do you remember when they switched the name around?
Yeah, Birds of Prey was at 79%, and the first Wonder Woman, which is the only other thing I think would contend, is 93%. So
that's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Anything else? Got Suicide Squad.
I think we're covering a documentary about news choppers in LA. In the LA news scene called Whirlybird. I think we're probably going to cover that. And then there's some other stuff that might be opening, but I think a lot of it is theatrical only. We're still trying to figure out how much theatrical exclusive stuff we're going to cover here. But we've got some good stuff coming up. my second favorite movie of the year is opening in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to talk
Which one
about
is
that a
that?
little bit more. Coda.
Oh, yes. I've heard lots of good stuff about that. Our pal Kiko was interviewing Eugenio Derbez about Coda, I think yesterday, something like that. I don't know. Saw it on his Facebook. Cool. All right. Well, if you want to reach us, you can email us at podcast@cinesnob.net. You can find us on Twitter at CineSnob, Facebook, CineSnobNet, YouTube, youtube.com/CineSnob. I haven't had a chance to upload more of the classic videos yet, Cody.
That's what people are clamoring for.
I know. I wonder how many views that had. If like anyone care?
13.
It's a good number. Yeah. Anything else before we go, Cody?
No, I don't think so. I think we're headed into the tail end of the summer movie season here as we head into August. So
August and everything after.
Yeah.
By
So
the Counting Crows.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Good call.
Thanks.
Oh, you know what? We'll also have Val hits the Val Kilmer.
Oh, yeah.
Hits Amazon Prime this weekend, so we'll probably cover that too.
Yeah, I missed out on my screener window for that, so I'm waiting to see that. There's a fly in your room or something. Oh, there's a cat.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a cat in here too. So, all right. Anything else before we go, Cody?
Nope, that's all.
All right. On that note, I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net. See you next week.